Somalia, a hot, dry country. The people of Somalia respect this harsh terrain and sustain life from its meager resources. What seems barren to outsiders, the Somalis regard as a blessed land teeming with camel herds. Somalia belongs to its people. Its pastures are a gift from God to all Somalis. Somalia straddles the Red Sea and Indian Ocean in the northeast corner of Africa. This is the Horn of Africa, the biblical land of frankincense and myrrh at the crossroads of Africa and the Middle East. There are 4 million Somalis and 6 million camels in Somalia. Over half of these people are nomads, the rest farmers and city dwellers. It is a country of contrasts. Until 1972, the Somali language was unwritten. But words have always been at the heart of the culture.
In a land where breath comes hard and no fresh breezes blow, when daylight comes and the dust rises, the distant roar belongs to the hungry lion, and the battle belongs to the valiant. But the scorching flame of heat, it belongs to the parching wind.
Somalia is a nation of poets. They use the rhythms of nature and the colors of the land to relate the history of a country often racked by outside forces. In the late 19th century, when European powers partitioned most of Africa, they recognized the Horn of Africa for its strategic importance. So these outsiders staked claims to it, leaving these monuments as stone symbols of a colonial past. In the Horn, Britain, Italy, and France joined the ancient African empire of Ethiopia in dividing up vital Somali grazing lands. For Somalia, the time is ripe for someone to lead this nomadic society, suddenly faced with intruders intent on colonizing them. Somalis are a religious people. As Muslims who believe themselves descendants of the Prophet Muhammad, it is fitting that the leader who steps forward is a Muslim teacher named Muhammad Abdullah Hassan. In 1895, Muhammad Abdullah Hassan returns to Somalia from the holy city of Mecca, bringing with him a clear vision of the power of simple faith. He is considered a Sayyid, or Holy One. On arrival, he resists an English officer who has demanded an entry tax. In a struggle, the Englishman falls off the pier. The belligerent Somali is not arrested, but is simply dismissed as being mad. The Sayyid starts denouncing his countrymen who cooperate with such colonial authorities, urging all Somalis to work together as Muslims.
If the land is your land, why aren't you its government? If Islam is your religion, why do you submit to infidel overlords?
His message inspires many to join him. They become the dervishes, a movement of devout Muslims dedicating their lives to the service of God and community. Their units repel Ethiopian soldiers who have plundered Somali villages. In 1899, the British receive a defiant letter from the Sayyid, challenging their very presence.
Now choose for yourselves. If you want war, we accept it. But if you want peace, you must pay us a protective tax.
Relations deteriorate. Britain proclaims the Sayyid to be a rebel of the empire. To the imperialist mind, his rejection of colonialism confirms his madness. Said Mohammed is henceforth branded the Mad Mullah. The colonialist armies joined together to break his resistance. The British mount numerous expeditions against the Somali dervishes, mobilizing a multinational force of Asians, Europeans, and other Africans. Both sides suffer heavy casualties. A stalemate results. The Mad Mullah makes headlines in Britain. The Said addresses an open letter to the English people.
I wish to rule my own country and protect my own religion. We have both suffered in battle. I have no forts, no houses, no cultivated fields, no silver or gold for you to take. All you can get from me is war, nothing else. If you wish peace, go away from my country to your own.
Said Mohammed's dervish army continues to grow and soon numbers 10,000 men and women, all trained to ride and to shoot. The war-weary Italians and British negotiate a ceasefire with the Said, allowing his dervishes a territory in the interior. They regroup and create councils to advise their guerrilla army and its civilian supporters. In 1910, Britain reluctantly withdraws her forces to the northern coast. Before leaving, arms are distributed to so-called friendly clans, thereby reigniting old rivalries. The British quickly realize their withdrawal was a mistake. They create a camel corps to patrol coastal areas. In 1913, its commander, Captain Richard Corfield, disobeys orders and leads an attack against the dervishes. Corfield is killed. His forces annihilated. Said Mohammed commemorated the dervish victory with a poem.
You have died, Corfield, and are no longer in this world. A merciless journey was your portion. In that other world, tell your companions how God tried you, and say how the dervishes were like thunderbolts of a storm, rumbling and roaring.
The dervishes abandon their guerrilla tactics, building a network of fortresses to establish the territory of their state. This political strategy makes them immobile. Military roles are reversed. The dervish structures become fixed targets. After World War I, the British vow to crush the Saids movement quickly and economically. In 1920, a major expedition combining air, ground, and naval forces is dispatched to Africa with the Air Force in command. For the first time in history, air power will determine military strategy. Air Vice Marshal John Gray remembers.
In previous encounters with the British, he'd always had the advantage of extreme mobility. He could move about that country so easily and quickly. The aeroplane reversed that, and we had the initiative, which was quite a new thing.
The target is the dervish headquarters at Talek.
We got the Mad Mullah bottled up in this fort and bombed it. I think we did probably a fair amount of damage.
The Said curses the planes.
Vultures hovering over my head, eager to dip their filthy beaks into my body.
Anyway, the Mad Mullah was not so easily caught. He waited for a few days. He watched what was going on around him. He noticed that the Camel Corps watered their camels early every morning, and their horses. And whilst they were busily engaged in doing this one morning, he and about 30 of his head men on ponies escaped out to the other side of the fort and made a dash for it. So that was the end, really the end of the little war.
Though the dervish troops had been dispersed and the forts were left in ruins, that so-called Little War had laid the foundation for the modern Somali state and established Said Mohammed as its father.